आपादमौलिपर्यन्तां गुरूणाम् आकृतिं स्मरेतेन विघ्नं प्रणश्यन्ति स्थिन्ते च मनोरथः लक्ष्मीं तनोतु नितरामितरानपि क्षमङ्कृतोऽयं निगमशाखिशिखाप्रवालं हैरम्बमम्बुरुहडम्बरचौर्यनित्यं विघ्नातिभेदशतधारधुरन्धरन्नः सर्वेषां स्वागतम्. This is the Saṃskāra session for the 13th verse of Sri Rama Gita. So we looked at Vada Katha, how to effectively frame a argument. That is the ancient methodology of framing an argument. Now, in that, there is the last part that is called as Vyakhyana. Now, what happens is, obviously, when I'm doing so many things, the initial perception of a reader, that is when I have done my work and I'm presenting it to someone, obviously I cannot present it in its raw form. It has to be processed, because nobody would like to see a bunch of heavy books with writings continuously. No, it has to be captivating enough for the reader to get involved. It should not be such that he feels that it's been thrown at him, that also all the kind information has been bombarded on him. So the way it has been presented after so many processes, that is, these are the components, then what happens, there are simplification of that. That means whenever I read about gravity, I don't go towards all the stories, what the thought was involved, the pramanas, all those things I don't go through. What do I go through? I go through Newton's laws of motion. That's all. There is first law, second law, third law. So Newton's three laws of motion. So they have deduced all that research, everything into statements. That is called as the laws of motion. Now, what happens after those kind of simplification statements have been made? The explanation must be given to it. Here, explanation cannot be just whatever that thought process was there. That means I first saw the apple falling down, and then I deduced some, there is a relationship, and then etc., etc., etc. Finally, we have come to three uh, laws of gravity. When I go back, that is when I'm teaching somebody, I cannot assume that anybody who's learning it knows everything about it. Therefore, it is not simply going back. It is not simply telling a person how I inferred this particular argument. There is a way of going back also. That is through a vyakhyana. When I am doing a vyakhyana for a particular argument, verse, shloka, then there is a method, there is a way of taking them to that particular, that is, there is a way to explain the theory to the reader. What are those? Most probably many people who read any of these Sanskrit shlokas would have actually seen. That is, if there's adhyana involved, not just chanting. If there's adhyana involved, then they would have seen these kind of, this method of describing what has been written, expanding on it. So when there is a vyakhyana, when there is a sutra, when there is a shloka, then what happens? There is the first element is to provide padacheda. What is that padacheda? Split of words. Because in in Sanskrit, in Indian language, most of the Indian languages, we have something, we recognize the fusion of two syllables or varnas when they come into close proximity to each other. Okay. So when they come into close proximity with each other, they start to fuse with, or seem to fuse with each other. So apya, api, artha, apyartha. So what happens is, it is because we are looking at the final product. We are looking at the final product. That is the law. Going back would primarily involve explanation of each word, and that means we need to first split each word. So in the same way, when we look at the 13th loka, it says na satyakaryopi, satyakaryaha api. There is a avagraha chinna due to sandhi acting over there. Therefore, the visarga of satkaryaha gets a o bhava. Therefore, satkaryo. And then api gets a avagraha chinna. There is it goes away. So therefore, it becomes na satkaryopi. And then prakangshate. Sorry. प्रकाङ्क्षतेन अन्यपि, प्रकाङ्क्षते अन्यपि, there also avagraha chinna is coming. So this shloka, it when we are splitting it, what happens? Karma bhihi eva, it gets a refa, therefore it becomes karma bhireva. So like that, when I'm reading it as karma bhireva muktaye. But what does that mean? Karmabhihi is one word, eva is another word. I have to split it, I have to show it. That is called as padacheda. That means or undoing the sandhi karya is called as padacheda. Then the second step is padartha ukti. So that is padarthokti. So what is that? The artha of each word has to be explained, not just as in a definition of it. No. Like for example, karmabhireva, karmabhihi, eva. Eva is, what do you meaning? What is the meaning of eva? Eva only. And what kind of a word it is? It is not, it is a avyaya. So it does not fall into any kind of um, vibhakti or any other samskaras. So therefore, the nature of the words used, and there is a popular word in English, flammable. If we add a prefix to it as in, it becomes inflammable, which also means is used in the same sense. So Padarthokti is basically explanation of each words that we have just split. And it is not just a definition, but it also includes the explanation of the word. For example, if there is a vibhakti involved, then what vibhakti is involved? In what sense it has been used? What tense it has been used? So this, including that, is also Padarthokti. Then Vigraha Vakya. Vigraha Vakya, when we are splitting a particular word and then we say, uh, the meaning of this is so, we are considering sandhis. Sannidhi, when they are coming close together, they tend to fuse together. When we have on purpose fused certain words together to create a compound word, that is called as samasa. That samasa would require a further explanation. So what is the further explanation? For example, if I'm saying Vasudevaha, actually that is not, no, we'll not take that. Well, let's see. There must be one in the loka itself. We're not able to find one at this point of time. So we're taking a normal example of Ramakrishna, for example. Now, in this case, Rama is also a name of a person, Krishna is also a name of a person. But here, the fusion has happened purpose, that is we have done it. It is not due to closeness of the varnas Rama and Krishna. The togetherness has been on purpose attained. So therefore that is a samastapada. That means the Ramaha, the vibhakti of that Ramaha, also there is a lopa of that. Krishnaha is also there is a lopa of that. The um, not avyaya, the parts of that particular, that is the vibhakti of the parts of that uh, samastapada has been discarded. So therefore it becomes one compound word, and then the samskara of vibhakti is given to it, Ramakrishna. So in this case, what happens? The Vigraha Vakya needs explanation. It needs a more uh, broader explanation what we are trying to say. Like for example, Ramakrishna is the name of one person. So that needs to be explained, that Vigraha Vakya. So this also actually works. Vasudeva works in that way when we say Vasudevasya Apatyam Puman. What is the Vigraha Vakya? It is the explanation that we are giving to a compound word that we have just made. What it is. Pachati iti pachakah. Kumbham karoti kumbhakarah. So these are Vigraha Vakyas. So this Vigraha Vakyas are basically explaining what the meaning of the words that we have made. Pankhe jataha pankaja. Like that. So the Vigraha Vakyas will help us understand the etymology of a particular word, how it has come about. And then we have the Bhava. Bhavartha is basically to understand not just the grammatical backing for a particular sentence, but also to understand the tone. We are also including its atmospheric, its any factor that is influencing the characters who's speaking. Bhavartha, in which bhava it has been spoken, it has been stated. Bhava artha. Artha of the bhava in which it has been spoken. So the vyakhyana must be given with these four elements involved, such that we start from the most elementary explanation, that is the split of the words, then the meaning of each of the words, then understanding the words, that is giving an explanation to the word, and then giving the situational backing to a statement. So the Vyakhyana, that is, once we have finished framing an argument, to convey that particular argument, we have to use a certain methodology that comes under Vyakhyana, providing explanation. So this Vada Katha is a very broad classification. It involves a very broad classification and a lot of elements. So in that we have the Drishtanta. Drishtantas are examples that we use. And then we have the Purva Paksha Vada, then Purva Paksha Khandana, then bringing our own, re-emphasizing our own hypothesis. So there's a huge process that goes around, and for that, our ancient scriptures have given a valid way, a standardized way to put forth an argument. So this is the samskara for the 11th, 12th, and 13th verses of Sri Rama Gita. So with this, we end this session, and Vada Katha sessions also, that is the elements of Vada Katha also will be ending with this session. So, स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः प्रतिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीमहीषा गोब्राह्मणेभ्यो शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृतिस्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि।